What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to From The Bench Vols. I'm your host, Will Meadows, and welcome to our Wednesday edition of the show, where we have a lot of Tennessee football to talk about once again. Today, we are going to talk all about Joey Aguilar. Obviously, as most people know, he has been named the starter for Week 1 against the Syracuse Orange for the Tennessee Volunteers, what that means for the Volunteers and their offense. But before we get into any of that, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, leave a like, leave a comment, share it. All of it is greatly appreciated. And before we get into the football side of things, I know on our last episode, we missed last week's Friday edition. I know, I'm so sorry about that. As most of you guys know, I'm in a new setup. I just moved into college last week, so there was just a lot of stuff going on with it, being the first week in a new place, and just wasn't able to find time to get another episode up. But today, we've got one Wednesday, and I will for sure have one up next Friday as well. But on the last Wednesday edition of the show, I talked about how we had shirts that were about to be sold. I don't know if you guys can see it. I should be able to see it. That were going to be on sale. And as of Sunday, so there was a week left. So today, you guys are seeing this on Wednesday. Shirts are available for sale until this Sunday. Make sure you guys get your shirts at at allhearttees.com. I'm going to try and have the flyer right here for you guys to be able to see that. The sale ends August 24th, and a free gift with every order comes. So we've got this shirt right here, and then we've got a gray one. Same thing, just different color. But yeah, I will try and get that flyer in here. I don't know if that editing will work, but I'm going to try my best. If not, I'm going to do my best to have the link to the website for the shirts in the description. So make sure you guys check that out as well. Again, this Sunday it will be done, August 24th, and sales will be no more. And then after we get the orders, they will be printed and shipped from there. And like I said, a free gift with every order. But let's get right into the Tennessee football talk of things. Obviously, the elephant in the room, Joey Aguilar is your starter. And, kind of to nobody's surprise, was it a quarterback competition? No doubt about it. Josh Heupel made that very known, and towards as fall camp started to build up, it started to become more of a three-way quarterback competition. It was always a three-way quarterback competition, but we saw a lot of good things from George McIntyre. We all know Jake Merklinger was your guy before Joey Aguilar got here, was your guy at the orange and white game in the spring game. Obviously, Nico leaving the morning of the spring game. Joey Aguilar comes from App State to UCLA, never played a snap at UCLA, obviously, and now he is the quarterback for the Tennessee Volunteers. So what does that mean for Tennessee? Obviously, we've talked about it all offseason. Joey Aguilar has been a huge name all offseason, especially this late summertime, early fall. The guy's a gunslinger. Does he kind of struggle with picks, or did he his last year at App State? Yes. I mean, just look at the stats. There's no denying that. But again, we've talked about it time and time again. I think Joey Aguilar will fit in perfectly with this system, with this quarterback-friendly, I know that's a loose term, with this quarterback-friendly offense that Josh Heupel has, this system in itself. But what's going to have to happen with Joey Aguilar and what he's going to need help with is these receivers getting open. Obviously, you can say what you want about Nico last year, how good he was, how good he wasn't, how much he didn't live up to the five-star hype, whatever it may be. Receivers did not help out Nico Iamaleava last year. Squirrel White was very underwhelming. Dante Thornton, yes. Was he good? Yes. A big play threat. Should be a stud in the NFL, but just couldn't stay healthy. Brew McCoy, kind of underwhelming in my opinion, and just the depth of it as a whole, just kind of underwhelming. You didn't see a ton of five-star Mike Matthews last year. You'll see a lot of them this year. Obviously, we know Mike Matthews, Braylon Staley, Chris Brazzell. Those are going to be your three main guys, and the two freshmen, Rodarius Jackson and Travis Smith Jr. Those are going to have to be your guys. Those receivers are going to have to help Joey Aguilar as much as Joey Aguilar is going to help them. This goes two ways. Obviously, we know that this defense is going to be in my opinion, a top 10 defense in the country, one of the best defenses in the SEC this year. I think it's going to be one of the best secondaries in all of college football this year, obviously with Jermod McCoy, Boo Carter, Ricky Gibson, Colton Hood, who we've heard great things about all throughout fall camp. This defense is going to be special, man. And even at the linebacker position, you've still got Arion Carter, you've still got Jeremiah T-Lander, and we've heard great things all fall camp about Edwin Spillman. So, Joey Aguilar obviously gets named. Josh Heupel gets named the starter, Josh Heupel says that, that he talked with all three of them at the same time when they named Joey Aguilar the starter. And when it comes down to it, man, you just got to go with the guy who gives you the best chance to win. And Josh Heupel touched on that in his latest press conference. But from the outside looking in, man, we're obviously not there for all of practice. We don't get to see that. That's behind closed doors. On the surface level, who gives you the best chance to win? A guy who's never played a legitimate, like, he has played a college snap, but a meaningful college snap in his life, in Jake Merklinger, or a guy who was a conference, it doesn't matter what level of college football he was playing at, a guy who was a conference player, newcomer of the year, a guy who was second team all-conference, a guy who's gone on the road and beat Texas A&M before, gone on the road and beat North Carolina. Like, this guy, I mean, it's not like we're talking about a no-name here. Joey Aguilar, yes. Is he your... If anybody, nobody can look you in the eye and say that they'd rather... if you talked to him a year ago, that they'd rather have Joey Aguilar than Nico Iamaleava. Obviously now, Tennessee fans are kind of delusional, and they'll say that. I'm not saying that Nico Iamaleava is night and day better than Joey Aguilar, because I don't think he is, but I'm not going to sit on here and say, hey, drink the Kool-Aid, Joey Aguilar is better than Nico Iamaleava. We've talked about that on the show before. There's a reason one of those guys was the number one overall player in the transfer portal, and one of them was in the mid-1000s. So, again, not a shame on Joey Aguilar. Obviously, I'm going to back Joey Aguilar, as this whole fan base will. That's one thing that's so special with Tennessee's fan base. They're going to back Joey Aguilar until he gives them a reason not to. But you just got to look at it from the surface level. Who gives you the best chance to win football games? And it's Joey Aguilar. And I feel like that's what it's been the whole time on this show. We've talked about how we speak as if Joey Aguilar was already the starter. We've done that all fall camp. We've done that with our position group spotlight series. All those things, we've talked as if Joey Aguilar is the starter, because he's going to be, the play styles are different, man. Jake Merklinger's deep ball is in the air. That seems what Joey Aguilar can kind of do the best. Again, a gunslinger. Will he make some throws that also, you go, what was that? Maybe, and there's no doubt about it. He's going to make some questionable decisions, but I think that's going to be dialed down, and I think that Josh Heupel can really work with that. But on the other side of this, you also get this, and then it goes, oh, wow. You get the no, yes, if you know what I mean. Like, you may be thinking, like, wow, that's a questionable throw when it leaves his hand, but he has the arm talent to fit it in tight windows. Something that we saw with Nico Iamaleava in his time, in his recruitment. Obviously, it's high school and it's 7-on-7. We thought we'd see a lot of that in the orange and white game, and then we saw it a little bit early on against some maybe not so high caliber teams like a UT Chattanooga or Kent State. But we thought Nico Iamaleava would be one of those guys that could fit it into the tight windows with all of that arm strength and just raw quarterback talent, God-given talent. We didn't see much of that last year. I talked about it a lot last season. If you guys aren't following, I mean, I know I have a lot of new people on here, and you probably didn't watch during last football season, but I always said that Nico Iamaleava looked like he just was never confident in himself. I think that Nico Iamaleava would make his first read, and does he have the arm talent to get it into that first read? Yes. But then he'd go to the second read, and it's not open, and then he'd try to go back to the first read. Like, oh, wait, I can make that throw. And by that point, it's too late. It's the SEC. It's the hardest level of college football there is. That's not going to work. Will that work at the level that UCLA plays at? Not saying the Big Ten is a bunch of slouches, but it could. I'm telling you right now, regardless of who you are, if you think the Big Ten is better than the SEC, I don't care. That can work against Northwestern more than it can Mississippi State, who is probably the worst team in the SEC, undoubtedly. They are the worst team in the SEC. That could work in the Big Ten at some level. I'm not saying you want to rely on it, but, I mean, I'm trying to not repeat myself here, sorry. I just think that you're going to have a guy who, is he going to make some questionable decisions? Yes, but he is going to be able to fit into tight windows, throw skinny posts like we saw time and time again with Hendon Hooker and Jalen Hyatt. And again, I know we spoiled ourselves as fans. We got spoiled with those guys, but I think that the deep ball could come back a little bit this year. I think the receiver position is also going to be better. They just got to stay healthy, man. I think Chris Bradsell can have a big jump in his year 2. I think Mike Matthews can have a big jump going into his sophomore year. And Braylon Staley, the redshirt freshman, the slot position, 3 out of the last 4 years under Josh Heupel has been a very, very productive receiver. And I think Braylon Staley can do that once again at that slot position this year in Josh Heupel's offense. Again, just has to stay healthy. We haven't seen really any of him in fall camp, so just has to stay healthy. And then Travis Smith or Darius Jackson, nothing but good things heard about them. Hopefully those guys can be big pieces of our offense even as freshmen. So, like I said, Joey Aguilar, it just gives you the best chance to win. Let me know what you guys think. I know it's the majority of population would say Joey Aguilar a couple months ago. Last month, a couple weeks ago. Last month, the majority of the population would have said Joey Aguilar. But I know firsthand from seeing comments and DMs and all the things that a lot of you guys thought Merklinger was going to be the guy, and kind of rightfully so. I mean, I wouldn't have called you crazy then. We've seen guys like Lance Hurd and other guys just through social media, like Jake Merklinger seemed like the voice of this locker room, like the leader of this locker room, which is much needed at the quarterback position. Obviously, it doesn't do everything for you, but you had kind of every right to think that Jake Merklinger would be your guy. He had more time and experience in this Tennessee system. Joey Aguilar, what he's doing right now, just coming here late springtime or early summer, having to learn the playbook all throughout that. Josh Heupel touched on that in his press conference. Like, the dude, what he's doing is not easy. Just as a quarterback, it wouldn't be easy at any position, but having to be a quarterback and make the checks at the line of scrimmage, everything that a quarterback has to do, man, it's not easy in the short amount of time. And all that aside, all football aside, winning the locker room in a short amount of time as the quarterback, as the leader of this offense, it's hard, man. It's not easy, but we've talked about it also before. This locker room, again, that doesn't win you football games, but this locker room seems it seems like a locker room that gets along well. It seems like a locker room with undeniable leadership. We've seen it with Miles Kitselman and Joshua Josephs and guys like that, Bryson Eason throughout the offseason. You know, having a good locker room doesn't win you games, but it helps, man, especially when you're having a quarterback who doesn't have all the experience in the locker room. Obviously, that will come with games and reps and things like that. Joey Aguilar will continue to grow as a voice in this locker room, but there's been other guys step up as leaders in this locker room, so that does nothing but help Joey Aguilar and help this football team. One thing that I kind of wanted to touch on, just kind of getting off of the quarterback talk, again, let me know if you think that's the right decision in the comments of Joey Aguilar or Jake Merklinger or even a George McIntyre. But I do think it was the right decision. I kind of thought all along that Joey Aguilar would be the guy, but let me know what you guys think in the comments. But getting away from the quarterback one discussion, I want to talk a little bit about what happened last week, the big news of last week, the switch of Nike to Adidas. I personally am a fan. I know aesthetic-wise and to the eye-wise, a lot of people are not a fan of this move. I am a huge fan of this move. I like Adidas. If you look around the country, a lot of Adidas-sponsored football teams right now have some of the best jerseys in the sport, in my opinion, football and basketball. Kansas's jerseys are awesome. Miami, Louisville, Texas A&M, Georgia Tech. A lot of those schools, in my opinion, have very cool jerseys, but as some of you probably know now, again, this is on my end being late on this, but it is going to help this football team. Regardless of what they're wearing on their chest and all that, it's going to help this football team financially. It's going to help this team with recruits. It's going to help these guys, the players, Mike Matthews said it, it's going to help these players feel more involved and more like they're a first priority to Adidas rather than Nike. One of the first things that it could help this football program with early is Tristan Keys. Tristan Keys is a known athlete for Adidas, and I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that if Tristan Keys were to flip here rather than play at LSU, he will make unfathomable money for a freshman in college. I'm just going to say that. I know he probably makes a good amount from Adidas right now. I know he probably makes a good amount in NIL at LSU. He will make a lot in NIL here, plus what he makes with Adidas right now, plus the money that we're getting from Adidas, all that right there. I'm telling you right now, you could very well see the first positive and the first good thing come out of this new deal very early with Tristan Keys. And also kind of touching on the Tristan Keys things, I know I'm kind of bouncing around here. There's just a lot that's gone on in the past week. Yesterday, Savion Hyder committed, and we knew it was a Tennessee and Michigan battle. Unfortunately, the number one running back in the country chose Michigan, a Michigan guy. Just unfortunate. I've said it time and time again. I think Savion Hyder is the best running back prospect since Bijan Robinson, which is saying something. There's been a lot of good running backs come out of high school. The guy is a stud. So Michigan got them one. I really would have liked to see Tennessee get that, just because you have a chance at the number one quarterback, which you already have in Fazion Brandon, and then number one running back with Savion Hyder, and you still are in the running very much for the number one receiver in Tristan Keys. But I think that is all but going to wrap up this episode. Again, I'm going to reiterate it. Go grab your tees. It is all heart. Let's see right here. I want to make sure. allhearttees.com. T-E-E-S, not T-S. allhearttees.com. And a free gift with every order. Sale ends August 24th, which is next Sunday. I'm going to try and have the graphic up right here. So make sure you guys go grab your t-shirts. All sizes, black and gray, and a gift comes with every order. But I'm so sorry about that. I think that is going to wrap up this episode, this Wednesday edition of From the Bench Vols. Again, I'm sorry that I missed one episode last week. We're going to get you back on track this week with a Wednesday and a Friday. And also be on the lookout. It's been Wednesday and Friday for a very long time, especially since football's been over. But we're going to try and move it to 2 different days. It may stay Wednesday, it may stay Friday. But I'm probably going to change one to Monday just because nobody wants to hear what I have to say about Saturday's football game on Wednesday, if that makes sense. So be on the lookout for that scheduled change. But again, I think that's going to wrap it up for today's episode. I greatly appreciate you guys joining me, and go Vols.